Welcome to the season 4 finale of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League, presented by ChangeUp. I'm Owen Chadrick. I'm joined as always by Johnny Maffey. And Johnny, how many days?
We got 1 month, Owen. Technically 1 month today, but 1 month till opening day, May 26th. Be there, first weekend. Official, in my mind, it's the official start to Johnny Maffey summer. It's the unofficial start to summer, of course, Memorial Day weekend, but it's going to be a blast. We have Brodie on this episode, who you'll introduce in a sec, but, the Bravehearts are introducing new stuff. We're going to do some new cool stuff, get people involved, try to grow the league. It's going to be a lot of fun, and one month, baby.
1 month till our 2022 summer is underway. We had Brodie, the public address announcer for the Worcester Bravehearts, on this episode, on this season finale of Back to the Futures. We've got some great things in store for the summer. We added a couple of new interns who are going to do awesome things for us this summer. We've got so many great things planned, but we're going to put this podcast on hold and in anticipation for opening day. Check out our socials. Check out past podcast episodes. We've got a lot of great things, and all the teams have great things going on. You do not want to miss this 2022 summer in the Futures League.
No, not at all. And I just, as finales go, I want to thank Josh Cummins and Joe Palucci for giving us this opportunity as usual. We'll be back for the summer, whether it's more or less, or hopefully it's just the same, and a lot of baseball, because that's what I need injected into my veins. Like you said, we got some Ben Upson's coming back. We got a couple other new guys back, a couple Emerson kids, actually. It was kind of a coincidence, actually, but, and, just got to thank the sponsors. ChangeUp, they do awesome stuff. They, it's a tool that can help any coach, any player in the game. Zorian Bats and 78 Sports, who I went to that. Joe's, you've been there too. Joe's new Patriot Athletic Club in Rockland. I wish I had it growing up as a kid, because 78 Sports outfitted it. That might not be the right word. I don't know but
no, that's
whatever. Yeah. Top of the line L screens, great cages. It looks great. It looks like where you want to be when it's snowing out or when it's hot out, whatever. It's what you need in a cage. It's everything you need to be a great player. And then Zorian has their bats there too. And they're great guys. And of course, Zephyr, I have a million of these Zephyr hats. So thanks to all our sponsors. Thanks to Josh and Joe. Thanks to you, Owen. And, I kind of dragged that long, but I needed to say that.
No, thanks to you too. And again, shout out to Joe and Josh for everything that they've done for us. We want to get you to this interview. It's a good one. Thank you guys again for tuning in all season long. Season 5 is coming in hot right around opening day. So be sure to tune in for that. We can't wait. 1 month till opening day. We're sending it to Brodie.
I don't know. The finale's out now. They can binge it, right?
Yeah.
Let's roll.
We are honored to be joined on our season finale of season 4 of Back to the Future. It's been a long, long time coming. He's an OG listener of the podcast. We're honored to have him on. It is Brodie, the Worcester Bravehearts public address announcer. Brodie, we said it all week. It's about time.
I wasn't going to say it because, I've heard a couple other people come on the show and say, it's about time. It's about time. I don't want to make it seem like I'm busting your stones or anything like that. But, we talked about this, Owen, I talked about this with you. Johnny, I've talked about with you. It's great to be here. I'm thoroughly excited about being here, and I'm glad to be on.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm selfish. I'm glad that you and Matt didn't steal him, Owen, season 1 or whatever. So we get to have a nice little conversation here. How does it feel to be in the basement of season 4, though?
Well, when you mentioned it was a season finale, it was like, okay, it's either a really, really good thing. It's either an honor, or it's like, all right, we're going to bury this guy and just let him get out of here. I'll let you decide what's what in that particular case.
You take a look at our season finale stats, and you might be okay with the position you're in. I'll just say that.
All right, fair enough. I mean, you guys see all the numbers on that, so I don't. So you guys can be the judge of that.
Is that the COVID background from back in the day, a couple of years ago? Did you set that up then?
No. I didn't do a lot of Zoom meetings during COVID. Really, that was more for like my kids stuff.
Yeah.
So why would I set this up for my kids? I don't know. I'm not that big of a jerk.
You got the light. I can never get the lighting down. Owen, can you see the proof from your seat? Owen's got a big window in Alston, and I can never get my lighting down. You got that down. You got the background down. All right, let's get this going. First question: why baseball?
Why baseball? Wow, that you told me that the first question was going to be a doozy, and it's a darn fine one. In terms of baseball, obviously I'm a huge sports fan, have been for as long as I can remember. What I always say about baseball is my first sporting love. I fell in love with baseball at a very, very young age. And, from collecting baseball cards, I mean, back when I was a kid, and I know I'm dating myself here, don't look at me like that. But, baseball cards cost 50 cents a pack. I'd get $1. I'd run down to the corner store, get 2 packs of baseball cards, and I'd be in heaven. And, I remember growing up, watching, Vin Scully doing the NBC National Game of the Week. A lot of memories go back with regards to baseball, and, ties in with my dad, and probably some of my greatest baseball memories involve my dad. And in terms of like working in baseball, kind of sort of happened, I wouldn't say on accident, but, with kind of just a quick email. I was looking for something kind of a little bit different, a little bit of a career change at one point in time, and kind of discovered this team in Worcester, not called the Bravehearts. This preceded the Hearts, of course, which I'm sure you'll get to. But kind of reached out, and next thing you know, I'm on the field with the mic.
Yeah, and we will obviously dig through it all when we get there, but we got to ask right off the bat here. You have been with the Bravehearts since their inauguration in 2014. You bleed the colors, you're wearing the jerseys, you're doing it all. What has it meant to you to be with that organization since its start in 2014?
It's a tremendous passion of mine to be a part of this organization. It's a lot of people look at, hey, I'm doing this internship for the summer with this baseball team, whatever. Bleeding Bravehearts blue and green is probably nailing it right on the head, because I look at it, it's a privilege. It's a genuine privilege, because not everyone gets to have more than one season. It's always been my philosophy that, I don't assume next season is always going to be next season for me, because for all I know, they could always find somebody better, and I hope that they don't, but it's that passion and appreciation. Being with the Bravehearts is a huge honor. It's been an honor for me to be a part of the organization since 2014. And honestly, they've even made to not sound corny or anything like that. They've literally made one of my dreams come true. And in that, when I realized that the whole athletics thing wasn't going to work out for me, I always thought it was going to be cool to have like a championship ring with my name on it. And obviously at that point in time, I was like, well, that's gone. That's out the window. Fast forward to 2014, and like the next thing you know, I've got a championship ring with my name on it. And now I'm fortunate enough to have 3 of them. And I appreciate every last one of them. They're great. They're amazing. But it's something I never would have thought I would ever be able to have the privilege of. And, working with the people of the organization, the Creedens, Dave, and everyone else on down, I've had just the most amazing experience. And, the Creeden family and Dave have earned my loyalty for as long as I can, possibly think that they can have it.
Yeah, there's no better way to put it than what you just did there. And you also have as many rings as Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning combined.
Ouch. Well, hold on there. That's
Whoa, hold on. What? Hold on, what?
I knew you were gonna go there, but here's
you brought the rings up. You set me up.
I thought he was going to wait.
I thought you were gonna wait too, Johnny. I totally thought you were gonna at least wait till later on. But you know what? I'll take that.
You put it on a tee.
I suppose, but you guys know me well enough to know that I'm not exactly a fan of Peyton Manning. As far as I'm concerned, here's my thing. You say that technically on paper they do have 3 rings combined, and yes, they do. However, Peyton Manning, he beat the Bears for 1 Super Bowl, so that's like half a ring, okay? And then the second ring that he got, he was basically gravy training that ring off of a great defense, and he could barely throw the ball to a wounded duck 5 yards down the field. So that's like a quarter ring. So in the grand scheme of things,
You have more
it's yeah. I wasn't gonna go there and say that, but
there it is.
I just don't like Peyton Manning.
No, I don't either. That's why I threw the shade there. And I know, obviously, for those who don't know, Brodie's a Packers fan. He had a
Hold on there, Johnny. I'm an owner, not a fan.
Yes,
There's a
excuse me.
difference.
Exactly. So you talk about, they've just been waiting to find someone better. No, just kidding. But you talk about coming back and everything. How, I don't know. We talk about it with the players. How the 2022 decision for you come about?
22 decision to come back.
Yeah.
Well, it's an easy one. If given the opportunity, I'm there. All there is to it. I mean, if I'm given the opportunity to come back, I always will. I'll never say no. I can't foresee a situation where I would say no. But it's not even a decision. It's not even a thought, to be honest with you. As long as Dave gives me a call and returns my calls and texts, as long as Donnie's not saying get the hell out of here, it's all good. It's an easy call to make.
All right, we're going to keep it here in 2020 U, as you guys are calling it this year. The Bravehearts are launching some extensive promotions this summer. Pick the Rules night, create a jersey. Can you explain to us a little bit of what you guys are doing and what your favorite ones are?
Well, I have a couple that I'm pretty partial to myself. But I mean, we recently kind of found out who pick the jersey winner was. We had a fan contest to create the jersey. That's going to be happening on I believe July the 31st against Norwich, and it was really, really cool the way that it kind of went down. Because the winner basically said that I want to have whoever benefits from the jersey auction go to help Bryce. And if you don't know who Bryce is Julie Creedon's son, who's been facing some health challenges. And basically she said, and I think this is probably a big reason why she won, was because she basically said, she said, and I quote, "I want the donation to go to the place that helps Bryce." And that was courtesy of Brooke, who is our winner to create the jersey night. That's going to be on July the 31st. Those jerseys will be auctioned off. They're actually a cool tie-dye look. It's a brand new Futures League logo right up front here. They're actually really, really cool. Not that one, but that's still cool though. No worries, man. But some of the other cool things that we've got going on is, we've got Tornadoes night. You'll see above my shoulder here. That's actually one of my Tornadoes jerseys from 2012. It'll get some live action coming back again. That's coming up a little bit later on. You Choose the Rules is one that's been getting a lot of buzz. It's going to be one of our baseball and education days. So basically, we're going to have kids submitting rules. They've already been submitting rules as is. And I haven't seen what the rules are yet. I can't wait to see what they are. But, basically, we're having a whole lot of kids in the Worcester area choose up what some of the rules are going to be for this game. And, some tells me that the Nashville Silver Knights, they might not love some of those rules. They sometimes have some nightmares when coming to fit and field, but that's for another conversation. But You Choose the Music, You Choose the Promotion. That's actually going to be a cool one where basically you get to be my boss for a little bit, and Tornadoes Night and the Worcester Tercennial Celebration. So much going on. I mean, you've seen fans of the Bravehearts have seen so much at Fit and Field over all these years. They're definitely going to see some things they haven't seen at all ever, and maybe never will ever again. Who knows?
So with the You Pick the Rules and the people being your boss thing, how are you going to prepare for that as a public address announcer and an on-field host? Like, how do you do that?
Very carefully. I mean, I don't know how there is to prepare. I mean, it's just a matter of kind of handling things as they go. The big most important thing, for me and for everyone else in the ballpark, is just remember it's all about having fun. Because one of the first things I learned in my radio days, a long time ago, was the guy who was training me basically said to me, he said, "Look, if you're having fun," he points at me, "they're having fun," points at the audience. And I still maintain that to this very, very day, because, if I'm having fun, whole lot of people are having fun. At least that's the hope, you know. So just kind of handle it kind of as it goes. You know, be flexible, be able to kind of shift on the fly, and have the ability to just kind of go with it, and you know, just have fun with it. You know, because that's always the name of the game. You know, it's baseball, but it's showbiz as well, and we're going to be bringing a lot of that flair this summer.
Yeah, you talk about fun summers. Last year was another one for the Bravehearts. And you talked about it. You know, you've worked for such a high class organization, but you've also worked for a very winning franchise as they've made the playoffs every year since 2014. So what's it been like to been part of not only the high class organization that the Bravehearts are, but also the winning year in and year out?
You know, it spoils you a little bit, you know, because you know you go out there and you expect to succeed, and this organization has set the table for success for so many years, and it's not just necessarily just about the on-field success. It's the things they do behind the scenes. They treat people with class. They treat people with dignity. You know, I mean, I've been treated with so much respect by, you know, by again Dave and the Cretans. I'll give them, you know, all the credit I could possibly give them, because without their support, I would not be here with the organization. But it's also the extension of that their attitude, their work ethic is what drives this organization. Because you know, you'll see John Jr. picking up trash. What other team owner is going to be out there picking up trash with you? Nobody. So you know, the winning kind of, I feel, is stems from those attitudes, from that work ethic, you know, from learning how to, you know, teaching how to treat people and teaching staff how to treat people. Because you know, we do our best to be as hospitable as possible, and I've seen some great things happening that our staff has done for fans, and some great stories. I couldn't probably tell you hardly any of them, but you know, they're out there, and there's some amazing stories that have happened from, oh, you know, this kid was crying, so I gave him a foul ball and brightened up his day. I mean, those types of things are amazing. All those little things, they build up and they snowball. They reflect on the players. The
Absolutely.
players, yeah. I mean, Johnny, you play, so you know how it goes. If you're happy, if you're content, if you're valued, you're going to go out there and you're going to bust your tail, and you're going to work a little bit harder to give back to the people who are helping you out. And I think that's where that success kind of comes from. And you know, I'll admit, I've been a little spoiled. You know, I mean, I have high expectations for the team. I'm sure I'm not the only one. You know, it's kind of tough for me to be in my position and be like, I have high expectations for you. But you know, it is what it is. You know, I mean, it's more fun. Baseball's a game, and games are supposed to be fun, but it's a little more fun when you're winning. You know, when you're in the league championship series every year, except for last year. We're not going to talk about that. But you know, last year was an aberration, and that kind of stung. I won't lie, but you know, it's been so much fun. I mean, to be able to see our team have championship moments, and to kind of be held up as one of the cornerstone franchises of the league, you know. And I hope I'm not overstating myself, and hope I'm not overstating our value, but I feel like that's been something that's been said about the organization many times in the past. Again, I'll let you guys be the judge, but it's been an amazing experience. All those things put together, I could go on and on and on about how great of an experience it is. I mean, the winning, the class, the being treated and valued so highly. Amazing doesn't do it justice.
Hey, it's you too. You know, everybody sees it from everyone. Obviously, you know, leadership comes from the top down, but a lot of you guys, you know, whether it's in the press box, and you know, I get there and I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's like, oh, that's your seat. It's like, oh, wow, I have a seat. That's cool. You know, but it's every team. I love, you know, all 8 teams, obviously. But for the sake of you being our guest right now, I do want to talk shop. I do want to talk shop for a second, because
Yeah.
new kids came in, beat you at your place, won the championship. Is that another rivalry? Is that gonna not quite turn into Worcester Nashua, but
Well, Worcester Nashua,
they won.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Seeing the season ending at our place with the team who eventually went all the way. I mean, first of all, good for them. they played lights up all season
Oh,
long,
yeah.
and nothing but credit to Vermont, because I kind of had a little bit of a feeling like things might not end up the way we were hoping to, but they came into our house, they crushed it, they went all the way. So nothing but credit to them. In terms of a rivalry, could it have a little juice to it this year? Wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me at all. However, is it going to be Worcester Nashua? I don't think anything's going to be Worcester Nashua, just because there's so much to it. I mean, there's the obvious things. There's the the fact that team ownership, shared team ownership. There's always going to be that rivalry, Creedon Bowl, all that kind of good stuff. But there's also that championship kind of rivalry as well, which goes back a couple of years. They've beaten us 3 times in the championship series. Not that I want to mention that, but it is what it is. And there have been a lot of hard fought battles. There's a lot of history between Worcester and Nashua, between the championships, between things like the Great Tequila Rally of 2019, further tequila rallies as well, things like that. There's so much between Worcester and Nashua that unless some big things happen between Worcester and Vermont, I don't see it quite escalating to the passion of the Worcester Nashua rivalry.
So 2019, the Great Tequila Rally. We have to talk about it. It was. I wasn't. Unfortunately, I was not there at the game, but I was following it, and I knew that you guys were down by a lot, and I was like, oh, let's book it. It's over, and then all of a sudden, the comeback starts, and I don't even want to keep talking about it because you witnessed it live. So give the fans the public address announcer, the ballpark guy view of the 2019 Great Tequila Rally.
The Great Tequila Rally of 2019, as I've come to call it, was something that was just so. It was so special, and it was so organic. So basically, it was the 8th inning. We were down by a lot. I mean, it was a football score, to be honest with you. I believe the point where the exact rally started was the 8th inning, and it was 17-10. And we had crawled back. It was worse. I mean, to be honest with you, even in the press box, we were like, this thing's over. I mean, as much as we love the team, we follow the team, we're passionate about the team, there are even times when even we're like, okay, there's no hope. So from what I understand, I think there was a night, and I think it was a rare night that I wasn't in the ballpark a couple nights before, where we started playing tequila a little bit between pitches. And it was something that they were kind of dabbling with a little bit. And I think someone kind of threw it out there to start playing tequila between pitches. And it became an every pitch thing. And then next thing you know, one guy gets on. Then one guy gets on, becomes a stolen base. And the next thing you know, stolen base becomes a double. And then 17-10, 17-11. And the next thing you know, it starts to roll a little bit. And Dave is in the stands. I mean, first of all, I would highly recommend go to YouTube, search Bravehearts Tequila Rally, and just watch it. It's 30 minutes of absolute gold, because you'll see inside the press box, you'll see like even Donnie and Anthony, who were calling the game at the time, they were kind of getting into it. And, it just, you could feel the momentum swing. And it was just the most amazing thing. You could see guys on Nashua, their pitchers, kind of getting a little bit nervous. And you could see them kind of getting rattled. And you could just feel it. And it's like, oh my God, we have a chance at this thing. And, 17-12, 17-13, and just clutch hit after clutch hit after clutch hit. And it's like I don't know if it felt like this way, but it looked like the guys were seeing the ball like it was a beach ball. And it was just the most amazing thing. And again, it was all organic. This wasn't something that we planned out in advance, like weeks in advance or anything like that. And I think that's the beauty of this, because at the end of it, we came up short. We wound up scoring 6 runs in that inning. So it was 17-16, and that was the final score. So we didn't quite complete it. But at the end of the day, we knew we had something. And, it was just amazing, because even the umpires didn't know what to think. I think there were a couple times during either this or tequila rallies we've had since, where the umpires have actually stopped the game, stared up the press box, and waved us off.
See, I was at one of those games. I was at one of
Yeah.
those games when they turned around and I think it was the Suns and they were like, stop. And Dave was like, no.
Well, we got the order from Dave. So as far as I'm concerned in situations like this, and not to sound disrespectful, but I work for Dave. I don't work for the umpires.
Mhm.
Dave tells me to do something, I do it. If our music guy, who was Ryan at the time, if Ryan's told to play music, he plays music. And if the umpires don't like it, that's when Dave steps in to handle that. That's his department, But yeah, we've gotten through some of our unique approaches to the entertainment side of baseball. I'll admit I've gotten a few blank stares in non-tequila rallies from umpires and games held up. And there was one time I remember I got this nasty stare from Blue, and all I could do was just like,
Oh, I got a nasty stare yesterday from a Blue. It was great. Yeah, I yelled a bad word. But no, but it's funny because it's like that's what summer ball is all about, though.
It is. I've heard,
and the organic part too. Like,
yeah. And that was the beautiful thing, is that it wasn't something that was pre-planned, pre-produced. And that to me is the ultimate beauty of it, is that it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. And then one became two became three became four. And next thing you know, we're at the end of the inning where it's like we're on this kind of this high, because it's like this improbable rally came from out of nowhere. And it's now since become a thing. There have been tequila rallies since then. There was another one, I think last year against Nashville as well, which, they seem to be, I don't want to call them the victim, but, they seem to have it kind of bite them from time to time, which, again, another thing that kind of adds juice to Nashville Worcester. And it's kind of a beautiful thing, because it's something you're not going to get anywhere. And it just adds to the enjoyment of the game, because the crowd gets involved. Because what you're also going to see, if you look at that tequila clip from 2019, so you're going to see Dave dancing in the stands. Yep. Then Dave dancing becomes a couple kids dancing at the same time. And what you see is that, if you haven't seen it, I should back up for a second. If you haven't seen it, what happens is between every pitch, tequila plays. And then Dave and other crowd members and other staff members start dancing. Music stops just before the pitch is delivered, and then everyone stops in place like a statue. Then the ball hits the catcher's mitt, or goes foul or whatever. Tequila starts up again, and go on and go on and go on. And what happens is that the crowd gets more and more involved, and it brings such an atmosphere to the ballpark, and it's just the coolest thing to be part of. I could explain it, but seeing it and experiencing it is something totally different, and it's amazing.
Yep. So we talked to when we had Andrew Salima on last year, 2021 Futures League All-Star, Holy Cross grad. He's at Merrimack right now. We were like, hey, you guys do your jerseys. You have, your Mountain Dew, and you're doing, you for great cause and everything. Patron has the little green ribbon that would match your colors perfectly for a nice Friday night jersey for a couple home games.
I would not disagree. I think that'd be absolutely fantastic.
Are there some 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds? Yes. But, if it's for a good cause, I mean, I'm sure you guys can come up with something with that.
Well, I'm sure that if it's for a good cause and if it's all in context, yes. I don't see a problem.
Context is key.
If Patron or any other kind of
no free ads, but yeah.
Right. If anyone wanted to, sponsor tequila jerseys and, have us throw them on for a rally, I'd be all for that. I would love that. I mean, heck, I'd be all for playing all game in them. Yeah. I mean, it obviously works wonders for us. And I believe in the power of tequila, the song, and other things.
Hopefully I'm foreshadowing Tequila Tuesdays for a good cause or something like that. But
no spoilers.
No spoilers. I need to get back on. Where were we here?
I can get us back on track here.
Yeah.
So 2019 to 2020, we talked about it all year in 2020. It was the improbable summer. That was John Creedon's quote. We played through a global pandemic. We'll get to the specifics of the championship series, which is crazy on its own, in a minute. Yeah. But what was it like being part of that summer alone and, having the heart to be there right up until the end?
When I think of 2020, I think of one word: gratitude. And it was a tough summer because for those of you who know, we weren't allowed to play at Fitton Field in Holy Cross, so we had to move to Doyle Field in Leominster, which created its own particular sets of problems, and some creative solutions had to be taken with it. So it was not typical Bravehearts baseball. It was very much scaled down. But at the end of the day, we're playing ball. In fact, I literally remember the moment that I stepped out of the car for the first game. It was into July. And obviously, as everyone well knows, that's usually when we're about a month into our usual regular season. And I stepped out of the car and just put my feet on the ground, stood up, and I just smiled. And then I heard music from the PA. I heard the crack of the bat, and I heard Anthony Mazzini doing some quick announcements before I got there. And no lie, it was an emotional moment. It was an emotional moment. There, I was fighting back the tears just because I wondered if we'd ever get there, and I wasn't alone in that, and I was in pretty regular contact with Dave to be like, hey, what's going on for the season? And I hope it wasn't too annoying, but obviously, this is a big deal for me. Even though this is something I only do for a couple months out of the season, it's a big deal to me. It's become a part of me. And, I was fully aware of the fact that we might not have baseball that year. So the fact that we eventually did, and we played, and not only did we played well. It can only be summed up with one word: gratitude. And I was grateful just to be able to have the opportunity to do my thing, even if it wasn't at our usual home, even if it wasn't under the usual circumstances, even if it wasn't the usual entertainment. We still got to do it and kind of have some sort of normalcy. And, I'm forever grateful for that season. The fact that it went as far as it did made it even better.
Yeah, you talk about unusual circumstances. Let's talk about that championship series. New Hampshire had a little bit of a less string on their rules and announced full capacity. So the championship series was moved to Nashua for all 3 games. And you called some of those games as the home team for the Bravehearts. Talk about that series. I know you're eager to talk about it, and we're eager to listen to it. What was it like being part of that just craziness that was the 2020 championship series?
In a word, surreal. Because again, it was kind of strange because for that 2020 series, we were the designated home team. But when it was announced that all 3 games were going to be up in Nashua, it was kind of like, okay, this is a little bit weird. And I even remember talking to John Jr. before game 1, and he was just hopeful to have some great baseball and have in front of some live people who could actually see it. And he was also appreciative of the fact that we had even gotten to that point. And it was kind of funny because I could tell in that moment that he was kind of split, because obviously he's got interest on both sides. So he was very conflicted. But before game 1, I got a call from Dave, and he said, hey, I've got this idea for you. Let me know what you think. And his idea was for me to call the Bravehearts innings on the PA, and for Nashua's PA guy to call the Nashua PA for the bottom of the innings. And I said, love the idea. Love it. Sign me up. I'm all for it. And it created this really strange dynamic. I mean, first of all, here I am kind of doing my thing at a different ballpark, which was totally different. And, everything was so different. I can't say surreal enough to describe it. Because here I am kind of, calling out our players in the way that I usually call them out, kind of being the homer that I am in Nashua, in front of their mic, in front of their stands and fans. And, I know that there was a sensation of, from their fans, who the heck is this guy? What is he doing?
Here.
Yeah. I guarantee that was.
Go back to Massachusetts, dude.
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know that they felt that way for sure, but it felt that way.
Yeah.
So what what as the game went on, I mean, I have a little bit of, I guess, what I would describe as a little bit of an intense style. Again, tell me if I'm wrong. And I
Retweet.
noticed.
Out.
But what I noticed is that Nashua's PA guy, he kind of tried to match me a little bit, level for level. He tried to bring up his intensity, and other people noticed that too and told me that. It's like he's trying to match your intensity. I'm like, cool, bring it on.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Say no? So, I mean, naturally, it kind of became a little bit of a competition in terms of who could kind of get behind their team the most.
It's funny because, like, yeah, maybe that would be a little much for a regular season game, July, whatever, 10th. But
Oh, yeah.
in the championship, it's instead of like no batting, number 40, Owen Chadrick. It's like, no, you got the, it's just intense the whole time. And that's what you need in a championship. And when you can have fans, it's because Sununu allowed fans, that's how it, that's awesome. I didn't know that was how it happened. I wish I started working here earlier.
Well, and the funny thing is that's exactly how it went for game one. Game two, I felt like he kind of raised his level up from the moment from jump, and so it was kind of a little more even. Game three was really interesting because I guess their PA guy couldn't make it, so Katie from Nashville, she calls me up. She's like, "Hey, can you do both sides?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure, I'd love to," because that just sounded like fun. And the next thing she says is funny in my head only because anyone who knows me knows kind of why I would think this would be funny. She's like, "Okay, equal enthusiasm for both sides." To which I said, "Okay, sure, no problem, Katie." In the back of my head, I'm like, "Yeah, that's not going to be the case for the whole game." So I did it the way that I was kind of asked to do because I want to be respectful as well. Yes, I'm a Worcester guy. I bleed blue and green, but at the same point in time, I don't want to be unprofessional. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be because Nashville was hosting us. So at the end of the day, their park, their rules, their stuff, and I get that. But I won't lie. Towards the end of the game, when the Bravehearts were getting down a little bit, I will admit I gave their intros maybe a little more chutzpah,
Yes.
and kind of gave kind of tried to give them as much advantage as I possibly could. As it wasn't necessarily a slight to anyone. It just, again, organic, happened in the moment, and it was amazing. But at the end of the day, for the second time, I had to announce congratulations, Nashville Silver Knights League champions, and that's no word of a lie. That kind of sucked, but at the same point in time, again, being professional, it's what you're supposed to do. When they won the championship at our house a couple of years before, Dave actually asked me to do that, and I kind of grumbled a little bit. Dave's like, "No, it's the right thing to do, so I want you to do it." Yeah. So and I did. So, and I remember that in that moment in 2020, fast forward a couple of years, and I wasn't given the instructions to do it, but I did it anyhow because it was just the right thing to do. Because win classy, lose classy. That was kind of what was in my head. Not that I'm trying to pat myself on the back, but that's just kind of how I'd like to think our team and our organization would have wanted me to do things.
It's nice to see you grow up. No, but yeah, no, it's the right thing to do, obviously. So championship is won by the players. It's won by the organization, the team, top down, the example set, the coaches. This year, you got some guys coming back. You got Gavin Noriega coming back. How much interaction do you have with the players?
Well, it kind of depends.
Yeah.
That's a great question, to be honest with you. So in 2014 and 2015, I was purely on the field. So I feel like I had a lot more interaction with the guys. And so that's I feel like there was a little bit more of a bond between me and those 2014, 2015 teams than after I went up in the box. 2016, I went up into the press box and was doing PA, and I was doing that all the way up until last year, where I returned to the field to do both roles, which was provided its own set of challenges. And I definitely felt like I got a little bit more close with the guys last year, as opposed to the previous years, because I felt when I was in the box, I felt a little more isolated. And that's not saying I didn't like it. It's just different. All there, there's 1 and 2, and 1 is not better than 2. So interaction with the players, I definitely get a little bit more being down on the field, and that kind of helps. That kind of helps give me a little more fuel sometimes, just because I can. Anytime that I have anyone to kind of bounce off of, it kind of helps me out, and it helps to kind of get me a little more creative. And having some guys like Salima last year, that was awesome, because Salima was, and he wasn't the only one, mind you. He was all about doing stuff, and he was all about, hey, can I get you involved in this, Andrew? Yeah, sure, whatever you need, and it's just a great attitude. And I think that's another kind of organizational attitude that was kind of brought in by Alex Dion. I'll give him credit for that, because he could shut that stuff down. He could say, no, leave my ball players alone, but he's all for it. He knows it. He gets it, which is why he's such an important member of this organization. So I love interacting with the players, even if it's just kind of, talking to them, talking to guys in the bullpen between promotions, doing stuff with them on the field, any sort of interaction with the players is great. And I feel like they kind of enjoy it too, because they get to be something a little bit more than just ball players,
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, you say that, and I'm about to ask about their on the field performance, but no segue there. You got some sluggers back. You got Batflip Noriega back. You got some arms back. What are you excited about on the field this summer?
Well, you mentioned Gavin, and I'm looking forward to some bat flips.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've never been a big bat flip guy, I will admit.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit old school, but I'm not quite super traditionalist either. I mean, like I'm the guy who hates the designated hitter in the National League, just as an example. Hates it with a passion. But some bat flips I'm not okay with. Gavin's, yeah, maybe I'm just looking at through blue and green colored glasses, but Gavin's bat flips are awesome. I mean, when dude crushes the ball over the football scoreboard at Fitton Field, that's a sight to be seen. So I'm looking forward to this year. I feel like we got some really tough competition based on what I've been seeing in some of the team announcements. I mean, I know Nashua is always going to be tough no matter what. They could have their worst team out there, and they'll still be challenging. Because they're always good. K-Jax does a great job up there, and he's actually kind of fun to banter with sometimes between innings. But you got the returning champs. They're going to be strong. Some of the names I'm seeing out of Brockton. Wow. Just in terms of name value, they're going to be crushing it this year, so it's going to be a fun and exciting season, no matter what, and I'm just looking forward to being a part of it. It's going to be amazing. So, no matter which Futures League team you support, go out there, support them. I mean, you're going to see some great baseball. It's when some people say, oh, it's just college teams. Like, college baseball is amazing baseball, especially summer league baseball, because you've got, with summer league players, you've got kids who want to be there. That's huge, because they want to be there. They want to get better. They want to practice their crafts, and they want to play, and they play their hearts out. Totally honest with you, when I was with the Tornadoes, they're of course semi-pro, and they had some former major leaguers come through. The caliber of baseball that I saw with the Tornadoes is as good, if not better, in the Futures League, or the Futures League is as good, if not better, than what I saw with the Tornadoes. Because you got kids who are hungry, they want to play, they want to get better, and they get it. They get that it's entertainment. So, the summer collegiate model is fantastic, and I love the baseball. The baseball is very, very high quality, and you can't beat it, no matter who you're rooting for.
Yeah, that's exactly what Spaceman Bill Lee told me in Vermont, and he has seen it all.
Oh, yeah.
So he's the deep, the top, and the whatever, everywhere. He's seen it all. He's still throwing right now.
Yeah, he threw for the Bananas last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, it's funny. In of course, I just got the notification Rich Hill's about to take the mound for the Sox. And when I talked to Billy, he was telling me about at his very young age now, he throws the fastball up and, tries to set up the curveball with that. And I was like, oh, that's what Rich Hill does. And he was like, oh, Rich Hill I talked to him, enough. And he said, Rich Hill said, if Billy's still pitching, I'm still pitching. So
There you go. That's it.
yep,
That's
there
it
it is
right
right
there.
there. Hold on, we'll get right back to the Futures. But first, we want to share a message from our friends at 78 Sports. Do you have kids playing baseball or softball? We all know practice time is limited, especially here in New England. Not to mention the cost of lessons and cage time can add up very quickly. Save yourself time and money by giving your kids what they need to work on their game at home. Our friends at 78 Sports can help you put together the perfect at-home training setup. Whether you want to start small with just a tee and a net, or looking to set up a full cage with turf and a pitching machine, they have you covered. And I've used their stuff before. I've seen their facilities. They definitely cover everything. The team at 78 Sports design and install hundreds of at-home and commercial sports training facilities. So let them help you find the perfect setup for your space. Visit the 78 Sports website at 78sports.com. That's SEVENTY, the number 8, sports.com. For a limited time only, by just mentioning Back to the Futures, you'll receive a 10% discount off your order. That's SEVENTY, number 8, sports.com. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Back to a little way back. Oh, and should we put this one in black and white, maybe? No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
That's mean.
It's just far away.
That's mean.
It's not way
It's
back.
bad enough
I'm
that
joking.
I get told I'm old by
Actually,
Dave
no.
and
We should
John
put the.
Jr.
I'm joking. We should put the tornadoes part in black and white just for fanfare. So Owen and I are trying to do what we love. You certainly do what you love. You had a career in radio before this. You made the move over. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did in radio? Not extensive or anything, but it is interesting, and it is, it wasn't a desk job. It was, you were on air,
Yep.
and that's fun.
It's tremendous, and it set me up to do this very, very well. In fact, because it set me up to do things like speak in front of a crowd comfortably, and it set me up to basically be able to say, "Hey, I did this." Oh, you have instant credibility.
Yep.
So I was in radio for about 7 years, and started off with a small rock station in Indianapolis doing weekend overnights, which doesn't really exist anymore because it's either automated or voice tracked or it's brought in from another market. But did Saturdays and Sundays from midnight to 6 a.m. The people you would get calling in, oh my God, it was nuts. And between that and just trying to stay awake throughout the whole 6-hour shift, that was challenging enough. Then I moved. That was shortly after I was done with college in Indianapolis, and then I moved back home. Eventually, got back on the air with the station 96.9 The Fox. Was with them for a number of years. Did nights with them for a couple of years. Worked in promotions as well. Worked in promotions for a station in Milwaukee. So it wasn't all on the air, but it was all an amazing experience. And I would I go back if I could in a heartbeat. But the thing is, the radio industry is a lot different than it was when I was last in it. But it gave me a lot of great tools, and I'm very appreciative of that. It met a lot of great people, and it's just kind of a part of my DNA at this point. And it was a fabulous experience, and I love every day that I was in that business.
Yeah, you're certainly in the people business. How did you learn? You're in a studio, you and a producer, or maybe not even, and now your job is to get 5,000 people involved, know you, love you, versus this truckers and the cars and the whatever. How'd that transition work? Did you think like, all right, I need to do this, and this? Did it just kind of ebbs and flows?
Well, there was definitely some strategies that were used when I was on the air. Believe it or not, a lot of people seem to have this connotation that you just walk up, crack a microphone, and start talking. Well, if you do that, that's a losing proposition right away.
Yeah.
Because you got to have a plan. You absolutely got to have a plan. When I was with the Fox back in the Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh area, I had some things going for me that other people at other stations didn't. And that was first of all, that was a local guy, because there are a lot of guys who were not local to the area. So I would speak to local things, things I remember when I was a kid, because, at that point in time, I could speak to, hey, remember when the Packers stunk? I do. You're lucky now. In the midst of the Brett Favre era when things were great, I was one of the few people who could say, hey, I remember the Randy Wright era. Not so good. Be thankful for what you got. So it's little things like that, kind of being, live and local. Those were the big things that were kind of part of my strategies, is that proving that I was still on the air live at the time when other stations were not, and kind of pushing that local content. Like if one of the local teams wrapped up with a game, if the Brewers wrapped up with a game, 10 o'clock, hey, Brewers beat the Cubs 3-1. That proves that I'm live. That's local content, so it's things like that. And on top of that, kind of just in terms of kind of people getting to know me a little bit, it was a matter of kind of taking my personality and cranking up the volume, exaggerating things a little bit, being a little bit more goofy, silly, stupid, whatever the heck you want to call it. I've heard it in terms of wrestling. Basically, the best characters are the ones who are based on the actual person's personality cranked up to 11. And that was pretty much my strategy as well. Yep. Just take who I am and just exaggerate it a little bit, crank it up, crank up the volume.
Yeah. And that's, if you don't do that, then you're not going to have fans. You're not going to have listeners. So, and you bring that to the Bravehearts every day. So that's
right.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of similar to like the live and local thing. That's very similar to the strategy in Worcester. You guys want the local crowd and branch out from there.
Yeah, because the thing is, you got to be involved in the community.
Exactly.
Much like how I say you can't just crack the mic and talk. You can't just open up the gates and expect people to flow on in. I mean, people will come, Ray. I mean, that works great in movies, but it doesn't exactly work in reality.
Yes.
Because the thing is, you got to hustle. You got to appeal to the people who are part of your local audience. Because the thing is, and I noticed some of this when I was with the Tornadoes, if you turn off the people who are in your local market, they will turn on you. And that, not that I want to speak ill, but it's reality. The fact is, after the Tornadoes left in 2012, baseball was a 4-letter word in the city of Worcester. So for it to be where it is now is a huge turnaround, and a huge credit to, again, the Creedon family, Dave Peterson, and everyone who's been a part of the organization.
Yeah, and you talk about baseball in Worcester. Your first gig when you got to Mass was with the Worcester Tornadoes. So talk about that season and what it was like, kind of not only working with them, but getting to Mass from the Midwest.
So I'd been in Mass for a number of years at that point in time. So it wasn't a fresh move, but it was kind of my first really, really big move, I guess, career-wise. I reached out to George, who was the GM at the time. Great guy, fabulous guy. And he was nothing but supportive of me from day one. And it was a year of highs and lows, I'll say, because a lot of people know the story. It didn't exactly end well for the Tornadoes, and I was a part of the Tornadoes' last fateful year. But there were some great parts about it. In fact, I remember when I started, I was doing the on-field emceeing, just like kind of now, and I had people come up to me saying, "You're just like Peterman. You remind me of Peterman." And I'm like, who's this Peterman guy? And I didn't know whether it was a compliment or not. And eventually, later on that season, I did meet this Peterman guy, whoever the heck he was. And as he was suiting up to be a mascot as Moolah the Cash Cow. And I remember meeting him. My first impressions of him were, man, this guy is super high energy. He's all over the place. He's great. He can't be like this all the time. Man, was I wrong. because he is like that all the time. And that's part of what makes Dave so awesome and unique. So I learned that, being compared to him was a great comparison and a great compliment. There were a number of people that came up to me and said that during that season. There were also some downs. Again, obviously the financial aspect of the team, that's been well written about to death. I'd rather remember the positives and the great stories, especially those involving a certain former AL MVP. And Owen, I see you smiling.
Yeah. All right. So we were talking about this before. So talk about that. What was what's the context there with Mr. Canseco?
Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, I have two, I don't know how to say famous Jose Canseco stories, but I have two Jose Canseco stories, one of which I was directly involved in, one I was not. The first of which was when he was at a Worcester bar, tavern, having some lunch or something like that. And he left his phone number as a tip for the server who actually gave him his lunch. And his phone number ended up on Deadspin and going out nationwide on the web. To which I'm just like, wow. But the one I was actually involved in. So this is a doubleheader. And he was not exactly hitting his weight. By the way, I'm not really talking out of school as far as I'm concerned. It was well known that he was, how to say, hard to work with. So it was a doubleheader, and he actually got ejected for calling balls and strikes out of the first game of the doubleheader. And he was saying some four-letter words and speaking unpleasant language to the umpire, which eventually got him tossed. Which, by the way, is not exactly the thing you want when you're promoting family-friendly atmosphere. So he went out, and if you've seen where the clubhouse is, it's back beyond center field. So there was also this gentleman who claimed to be this Jose Canseco super fan, and he went around the ballpark, like from the concourse around the left field stands behind the left field fence, and he actually met up with Canseco by the clubhouse. And I thought, this guy's suspicious. So I kind of followed him because I didn't have much to do during the first game. I was going to really be stepping into work during the second game. Mm-hmm. And so I get back there, and this super fan is back there with Canseco, who's outside the clubhouse. And Canseco is ranting and raving and he's just losing his mind. And eventually he's like, I gotta speak to George. I gotta speak to the GM. Okay, cool. So I call him over, get on the radio. Hey, George, Jose wants to talk to you. And as George is on his way over, he brings over two other guys, Rob and Andy Duran. They can corroborate this story, by the way. Canseco literally says that he wants the umpire fired between games of the doubleheader, or else he's not going to play the second game. He literally asked for the. I'm not lying. I swear.
I believe you.
No, we believe you.
It sounds too fantastic, but I swear to God, it is absolutely the absolute truth. He literally insisted that the umpire get fired between games of the doubleheader. George comes over with Andy and Rob, and he's basically like, dude, we can't do that. Just get ready for game two. No, I want that guy fired between games of the doubleheader. Obviously, I've cleaned up the language a lot. And basically, at the end of the day, umpire stayed, Jose left. So he did not get his way because he wanted the umpire fired between games of the doubleheader. That is my famous Jose Canseco story. Wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it with my very own eyes. And again, it can be corroborated.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. I mean,
yeah, that's.
I literally wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it. But then again, it was this whole thing was a big down. It was a big downer for me because growing up, I was actually a big Jose Canseco fan. I was pumped when he signed with the Tornadoes, and
then he just gave it his way out.
Yeah, and in fact, I think that was one of, if not his last game with the Tornadoes, because all of a sudden he went on the injured list and was never seen or heard from ever again.
Oh. Well,
classy guy.
I mean, are people surprised? Like, it's kind of.
No, it's his move.
Yeah,
it's definitely his move. Yeah. I mean, I realize I'm speaking about him as if I know the guy that when I had one interaction with him, but it's I mean, based on the guy who was caught speeding like 130 miles an hour when he was playing in Oakland, having his history is what it is. So it's not surprising.
I'm just glad you didn't say, and then he punched me in the face. I was like, oh my, I just heard you saying behind the fence, I was like,
he's gonna
did Brodie get beat up?
Well, I was worried because this other guy, this super fan, I had no idea what the heck he was up to. And,
yeah.
I'm just thinking like, yeah, I know Jose personally. It's like, okay, yeah, sure you do, buddy. I've got his 88 AL championship ring. Okay, sure, buddy. Okay, you've got an Oakland A's jacket. That means you're a super fan. That means you really know him that well. I don't think so. I was doubtful until I got back there, and sure enough, Jose did know him. But it's like, how am I supposed to know that? I'm there, and I'm trying to make sure that everyone's kind of safe at the ballpark, including our own players. How do I know that he's not some weird wackadoo?
Yeah, exactly. We have one more question or two more quick questions before our new segment called Quick Hits. Do you like a Bravehearts hockey jersey or a Railers baseball jersey better?
That's a tough call. And what
I saw you rocking the Railers baseball jersey the other day on Facebook.
Yeah. So obviously, for those of you who don't know, I work for the Worcester Railers in the off season. Worked for them the last 2 years. It's been another great partnership I've been lucky to be a part of. So I do actually have a Railers baseball jersey. I do not have a Bravehearts hockey jersey. Mm-hmm. But if I had the ability to have one made, I would not turn it down because obviously jersey love.
You wouldn't?
Really?
Yeah, I know. Shocker, right?
Yeah.
But if I had to choose, I would choose probably the Bravehearts hockey jersey, only because A, I don't have it. B, having it in green with shades of blue would be awesome. And I mean, I guess not that I want to prioritize because who I work for is who I work for, and I love where I'm at no matter what. But I just have a longer history with the Bravehearts, and it's a little closer to my heart. And I think even the people at the Railers know that that it's not that I love one more than the other. It's just that I have a little more history with.
Oh yeah, no, it's self-explanatory. Yeah.
So give me a green green Bravehearts jersey, some tinges of blue, big old number 71 on the back. I'll be a happy guy.
Why 71?
As with everything, there's a story to it. There's a big old story to it. So kind of goes back to high school, and so I was dating this girl, and her dad was a hockey coach, and my brothers played hockey. I played a little bit of street hockey from time to time, really only dabbled in it. And I said to her, it's like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I could actually eventually learn to play hockey well enough to play for your dad? She was just like, that's stupid. You'll never do that. So I'm like, okay, a little fire under my belly. So I wanted to take that and use that as fuel, because that's kind of how I work sometimes, and turn a negative into a positive. Well, as it turns out, she also played for the volleyball team, and she wore number 17. So what I figured I'd do is I'd take that negative, turn it into a positive, and flip it around. So that's where 71 comes from. And it stands for me, not letting other people tell you no, not letting other people stand in your way, not letting other people say that what you think is stupid or wrong or whatever. It's about independence. It's about kind of, marching to the beat of your own different drum and believing in yourself. That's a big one. So I know it's kind of a stupid story about a petty high school thing, but there's actually something really kind of cool in it that I've taken from it. And it's just become part of my DNA.
I liked it. If that means anything, I like the story. I thought it was a good story.
Well, you need that attitude in this industry too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, you do. In this industry, in any industry, in life in general, you got to be able to take the lumps and turn the negatives into positives. It kind of goes back to something I once heard James Hetfield from Metallica say. He said, our battery works off the positive and the negative. And that always resonated with me, that you got to be able to take things from positive things, obviously, because that's always good, but there's not always positive in life. And you got to take those negative experiences and take something from them and learn from them.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great message. And speaking of messages, before we get to quick hits, how about a message to Braveheart fans before you are back for 2022?
You mean for 2020
Or excuse me, 2020. My apologies.
You know, I know that this comes up on the podcast regularly, and I've actually put some thought into it. It's actually been a tough thing for me to think of, but I think I've kind of come up with a little something that, I mentioned that Bravehearts fans have seen a lot of things over the years. Championships, celebrities, players from the Bruins, the Red Sox, and the Patriots have all been to our house. An all-star game, home run derbies, Hall of Famers from MLB and even WWE, improbable rallies, people parachuting into the ballpark, mayors, governors, and a million different patented Peterman rally dances. You may think that you've seen it all, but I guarantee you that at some point in time this summer, you will see something you have never seen before, Bravehearts fans, and you may never, ever see them again. So that's what I'd say. Come on out to Fitton Field. You'll see you might just see something you'll never see before or ever again, and you'll have a great time doing it.
Unreal.
I mean, I try not to clip the message because it's like, oh no, we're more interesting than that. Let me find, the unique part. But it's like, I mean, that's what's going on Twitter. So
congratulations.
I never thought that a standing ovation could exist on a podcast
on Zoom. Yeah, on Spotify and iTunes. Everybody's
that saw Johnny's standing ovation. Before we return to Back to the Futures, we want to share a message from our friends at Zorian Bat Company. Rob Zorian started the company Zorian Bat Company in 2003, literally out of the trunk of his car in Davie, Florida. Within 2 years, he was selling his wood bat line to Major League Baseball and continues to manufacture the highest grade wood bats for Little League all the way up to the majors. Rob Zorian, founder and president of Zorian, says, I started the company in 2003 to service all baseball players in the United States and beyond. And after 19 years, our mission has not changed. We are very excited to have the opportunity to work with the Futures League and wish all of our players and coaches a healthy and successful season ahead. For more information about Zorian, visit their website, zorianbats.com. Zorian, America's baseball brand. Now, back to the Futures. All righty, it's time. We now move on to our final segment. You know it well, we know it well. It's called Quick Hits. It's presented by Zephyr, the official on-field hat of the Futures League. Zephyr, high quality and innovative design since 1993. Brodie, we brought back some of the OG questions, some of the OG Back to the Futures Quick Hits questions, and we're going to start with the one that stumps everybody. Who is your favorite player to come through the Bravehearts organization?
Ooh, favorite player. That's a tough one. Because, as I mentioned, I kind of, I don't have as much interaction with the players as I'd like to. As I mentioned before, I'm probably there's a little more of a bond with the 2014, 2015 guys. Those guys are pretty near and dear to my heart. So I think of guys like, oh God, you're stumping me. You hit me in the face right away, because I always think of my favorite teammates as in being like the people I work with. But I think of guys like Charlie Butler. He was a favorite of mine. In more recent years, you mentioned Andres Lima. He's big on my list. I actually started calling him Salima time, and he actually asked me, it's like, what's up with that? It's like, well, if you ever remember the pitcher Jose Lima, who pitched in major leagues years and years ago, he used to call himself Lima time, believe it. So he was a really energetic guy, and I thought that kind of fits Lima perfectly. I also think of, the Ricciardis, Mariano, and Dante. Those guys had big impacts on the Bravehearts in general. Those are guys that I would love to call out, like, first and foremost right away. I could probably think for a few more moments and think of tons more guys, but those are just the first guys. Not that anyone else should take a backseat to any of those guys, but those are just the first ones that come to mind and had a pretty big impact right away.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think I lied on the first question. This will probably be the hardest. Your favorite press box teammate, person you've worked with the Bravehearts?
So that's actually an easy one, believe it or not.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're not. So the guy who worked next to me for I think it was about 3 years, Ryan McConville. He was our music guy for a number of years, and he's also become he was a guy that I had great chemistry with, just tremendous chemistry with, and he actually helped make me better. He helped make me better in a lot of ways because he was someone who I could always depend on to kind of pick me up if I kind of missed something. He was spot on with the music. He made that game a whole lot more fun. And even this past season, he was only available for a couple of games. And which the first thing he'll mention about this past season is that he had an undefeated record at games that he was at. But he was very helpful when I was down on the field and doing PA at the same time because he would kind of help me with some verbal cues. And he was just spot on, and he's actually become a very, very good friend. He actually helped get me in with the Railers. So he's a good friend. He's a great guy, and he really, really knows what he's doing. He does a great job with music wherever he's at.
Yeah, I'm not even sure why I said the easy thing because I knew that answer the second. Like I asked it and I was like, wait, this is just going to be Ryan. Yeah, Ryan, one of the first. Yeah,
yeah.
Because you've seen it. You've seen how he works. You've seen how he and I work. It's like, I mean, and that's not a slight to anyone that I've worked with before. Donnie I've worked with a whole lot of years. And a couple other people. That's not a slight to anyone because we've had some great talent come through the press box. Some tremendous talent. Some of the guys that you've heard calling games on the Bravehearts are the future of the sports broadcasting industry. And you can write that down right now. They're talented guys, guys like Paul Lambert, Anthony Mazzini. Those guys are the future of broadcasting, and they're going to go places. I've told them that, and I wanted to say so in this format as well, because I believe in those guys, and those guys are really, really talented, but it's no slight to them. McConville's just my boy.
Yeah, Ryan, one of the first people to introduce himself to me when I got to the Bravehearts press box in 2019. He's a great guy. And, of course, everybody in that Bravehearts press box knows what's up when you're in there. Moving on to the next question here. What's your favorite ballpark that you've attended as a fan?
That's a tough one because I've been lucky enough to attend a number of different ballparks. I went on a big ballpark trip with my dad when I was in my teenage years. I can definitely tell you which one's not. That's Wrigley Field because I can't stand the place. Yeah, I know. I'm going to get hate for that. But, I don't care because, and that might be also my anti-Cubs bias coming through. But I would say, yeah, it's cool. I'm okay with it. And maybe this is some of my own bias coming through, but beautiful, beloved Miller Park is a gem. It's an absolute gem. It's a wonderful place to catch a game. It combines a lot of nice modern touches as well as kind of the nice classic things. And it's got a roof on it so you can actually be comfortable at a game in May in Milwaukee, as opposed to its predecessor, County Stadium, which County Stadium is always going to be special to me because that's where I saw my first game. And as you guys know, the first ball game's special. No matter where it is, you see all that green grass as you come through the tunnel, and I just remember that feeling. Wow!
Mm-hmm.
And I had that wow moment at County Stadium, and that's still special to me. But Miller Park's where it's at. I mean, I've seen some other beautiful stadiums as well, but nothing tops that place for me.
Yeah, I definitely want to do that ballpark trip someday. So that definitely want to end up there at some point.
Let's go.
Let's do it. And then baseball stadium or sporting event that's on your bucket list.
So bucket list, I would have to say Final Four. And like with everything else, there's a story to it. So years ago, when I first got together with my now wife, she promised me that if Butler ever made the Final Four, I'm a proud Butler alum. If Butler ever made the Final Four, she would actually take me to the Final Four. She promised me that. Keep in mind, this was years before the Final Four was even a legit thing for Butler. This is when we were in the Horizon League, and there was no chance we would go to the Final Four. She said that knowing there would be no chance ever we would go to the Final Four. Then all of a sudden, Brad Stevens and Gordon Hayward happened, and the next thing you know, 2010, and look at we're married at that point in time. Say, hey, hon, what about that Final Four trip? Oh, sorry, can't do it. Broke my heart, but it is what it is. So, but even if Butler's not there, I understand that there is a not a great chance that Butler will ever return. That 2010, 2011 run was magical, and I'll love it for the rest of my life. There's probably a good chance they'll never get back, but if they do, I would love to be there. Probably if I had to say second one, I'd love to go to the Big East tournament at MSG. That's more attainable because that happens every year. Never thought I'd ever see my beloved Butler Bulldogs play at such wonderful venues like MSG or the Final Four. So just to get a chance to see them play on those big stages would be awesome.
Final Four might be a first. I'm not sure we've heard that yet. So that's a great, unique answer here for the end of season 4. That's awesome.
That's what you get when you get me, unique.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you were walking up to the plate, what would be your walk-up music?
Great question. So
Thank you.
before I moved out here, so humble, I might add. So before I moved out here, I actually worked for a small independent wrestling company. And I had a chance to go up to the ring to my own music a couple times. And actually went with Black Label Society's Concrete Jungle, which is a pretty awesome song. But if I had to pick now to walk up to the plate, I'd probably go with something like Reach for the Sky from Social Distortion. It's got a great screaming guitar intro. Love it. Social Distortion's a huge favorite of mine. Or else Volbeat. Volbeat's a more recent favorite of mine. They have a great song called Seal the Deal with a great driving beat. And it's all about sealing the deal, which is what you want to do when you go to the plate.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned the Brewers and obviously Jose Canseco. But besides that, who is your favorite MLB player, whether it's current or historical?
Well, I'm a Brewers guy. And again, I just have to say for the record, I hate the DH in the National League. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest. But lifelong Brewers guy. If I had to say, Canseco was kind of a favorite of mine growing up. Again, the shine's kind of off of him even before he came to the Tornadoes. But if I had to mention favorite players, I'd bring up 3 guys. One, Christian Yelich, obviously. Another one, Brandon Woodruff. Brandon Woodruff is a made man in my eyes and will be for the rest of my life because of Game 1 of the 2018 NLCS. He hit a home run off of Clayton Kershaw. Game 1. Pitcher going deep off of a Cy Young Award winner. It doesn't get any better than that.
Nope.
I mean, it was just such an epic moment to see how pumped up he was around the bases. I don't know who's more pumped up, him or me or the rest of Miller Park. I don't know, but it's all a tie. It was an awesome moment, truly epic moment. So Brandon Woodruff gets my nod for that. In terms of a vintage player, there's only one guy, Robin Yount. Robin is my guy. You know, he was a part of one of the greatest Hall of Fame classes of all time with George Brett and Nolan Ryan. I mean, Robin Yount played with entire 20-year career with the Brewers. He is Mr. Brewer. He is the icon when it comes to that franchise. And I got a couple of his number 19 jerseys that I'm so proud of. Robin's my guy. Love him.
Yeah, those are some great jerseys he rocked too, back those old schools as well.
Powder Blues.
Absolutely. Powder blue, you can't get any better. Now everyone's doing it though. It's like everyone's like copying, but at least at the college level, it looks like. So like Owen said, we brought back the OG quick hits questions. Jason, what's your nickname?
I don't have one.
No. Where did Brodie come from?
So that came from when I was back on the air. So when I left the station in Indianapolis, I went to the Fox up in the Green Bay area, and my program director, my boss, basically said, "All right, you got to come up with a new name. It's got to be a one-word name, preferably 2 syllables, because everyone on the station has a one-word name." Our morning guys were Bill and Ted. He was Hoots. Our nighttime guy was Cato. So you kind of get what we're going for there. So naturally, I thought, well, good names come from movies, right? Movie characters. It's a good place to come up with names. So I'm a big Kevin Smith guy. Kevin Smith, Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, that whole series. So I started going through his movies, and I'm like, okay. So in Clerks, there's Dante and Randall, and it doesn't really have this ring to it. So go to the next movie, which is Mallrats, and like there's TS, and then there's Brodie, and then there's Bing, light bulb. I literally stopped in my tracks when thinking of it, and I brought it to my program director. He's like, "Good, love it. That's it." And then when I came to the Tornadoes, I was interviewing, and they were like, "Well, we can't have you go on as Jason because that just doesn't really sound all that great." And then Todd, the owner, as well as George, were just like, "We're going to call you this. We're going to call you that." I'm like, "No, those kind of they kind of stunk."
Yeah.
In fact, they wanted to call me J-Man at one point in time. I'm like, "No, that's not going to work," because at my old station, we had a guy named J-Man, and he was, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I didn't want to be like him at all. So I'm like, well, why don't we just take my old radio nickname of Brodie and just run with these? Like, good, love it. There it is. And it's since become kind of my brand, I guess.
Hearing you be called Jason was a little daunting for me. That was just like
hearing you call me that was weird.
I didn't know until we were like, is it even in your Twitter? Until we were Facebook friends, I didn't know that was your name.
Well, it's funny because
I've never referred to you until that moment live on Back to the Future's breaking news.
How'd that taste?
I don't know.
Well, it's funny because like my little ID for the Railers that I got this past year had my given name on it. I was laughing about it for weeks. It's like nobody around here knows. Does anybody know me by that name? No. Anyone? No. Oh, I didn't know what that was your first name. It's like, yeah. Well, that's kind of how that is.
Yeah. All right. Whether it's Packers, Brewers, Bravehearts, Railers, any superstitions?
So I'm glad you asked me about that because I'm not a very superstitious guy. As some would say, I'm slightly stitious. The only real superstition I have as a fan is I try hard not to wear like the opposing team's colors on game day. So like say, for example, if we're playing Nashville, just as an example, I can't wear red and I shouldn't wear black. You know, if my Packers are playing the Bears, can't wear navy blue, can't wear orange. And I know it's stupid, but it's just one of those things in my head. It's like I feel like there's a part of me that's supporting the other team if I do that. So I can't do that. I got to be all in. Can't wear the opposing team's colors on game day, even if I'm wearing like black shoes. Can't do it. Gotta wear either team colors or something neutral all the time.
Yeah, totally. That's very, very understandable. Bubblegum or sunflower seeds?
You know, I'm one of those weird guys. Neither. I don't do either one. Bubblegum is not a thing for me. Sunflower seeds. I know guys love them. Owen, I know you love your dill pickle and pop for dill pickle every time someone mentions them, but I'm just not a sunflower seeds guy. It's just not. Neither one does anything for me. I'm weird. Totally weird.
Brodie, I agree. I have the same answer from the whatever number episode this is. The first one, Owen asked me, however long I've been first one, I was like, yeah, I don't do
seeds.
I don't know. It's the double bubble makes my mouth sticky. The seeds, I can't do the flavored for some reason. I don't know how you can't have pickle in my mouth on the baseball.
Yeah, that just sounds really, really weird. I mean, I can understand the flavor.
To say it like that, obviously.
I mean, I can understand the flavoring of the seeds because I'm a big barbecue guy.
That's what I was saying.
I'm a big barbecue guy, so I get the flavoring thing, but just seeds, it just does nothing for me, and gum does even less. I'm weird.
All right, what about your favorite Worcester Bravehearts, Creedon and Co. food at the concession stand?
Well, if you included this to be like more of a baseball thing, my recommendation is if you ever happen to be at Miller Park, you got to get a brat. You got to get it with the secret stadium sauce. It is unlike anything you ever had. It is amazing. I can't even sum it up. I'll just say you got to do it. Now, in terms of the home ballpark at Fitton Field, oh man, tenders, best tenders I ever had anywhere, bar none.
1 month away from those tenders, baby.
You know, and it sounds like I'm just saying it for the sake of saying no. Those are literally the best tenders I've ever had anywhere, and it's not even close.
All right, how about final question of quick hits? Favorite all-time baseball memory?
Favorite all-time baseball memory? It'd be very, very easy for me to say championships won. Because I was on the field at Bristol both times that we won at Bristol. Those were really, really awesome moments. Getting to hold the championship trophy high and literally in the same place was really, really tremendous. But I'd be doing myself a little bit of a disservice if I said that. I briefly touched on it earlier. Took a big baseball road trip with my dad when I was about 13. And we went to 6 different games in 5 different cities. We hit Chicago twice. We hit St. Louis. We hit Kansas City. We hit Atlanta. And then we hit the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That was a trip that's, even though it's been a number of years, still sticks in my mind very vividly. That's where me and my dad got a lot closer, and where we stood until he unfortunately passed. So that's probably one of my all-time favorite memories of my dad. And it's also a big baseball thing. Championships are great. Championships are amazing, but you can't beat that memory of, that I made with memories that I made with my dad, logging all those miles, because we drove Green Bay to Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City, Atlanta, and back. It was 2 weeks on the road, baseball, talking. It was amazing. And miss you, Dad.
Yeah, that's the second time you've brought him up now. How did he, you talked about earlier, you remember playing catch with him. Is that where you fell in love with the game? You and him?
A little bit. I mean, he and I threw the ball around, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't get a little misty-eyed at the end of Field of Dreams. Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch? It's one of those
haven't
things.
Seen that movie. I don't know why, but
Johnny, what are you doing?
Owen knows exactly.
That would make 2 of us.
Oh, you haven't either.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, man. I got to call you out for that. But
yeah, we'll have me and Johnny will have a baseball movie night soon, and we'll watch it.
Yeah, I mean, Field of Dreams, that moment at the end, and now I feel bad because I just totally spoiled it for you. But
I knew about. I'll forget about it.
But I know that it's one of those moments that's, for me especially, because I remember playing catch with my dad in the yard, and there were many things that influenced me to fall in love with baseball. I mean, I love football, love it with a great passion. It's probably my most passionate love, but my first sporting love, and you never forget your first love. My first sporting love is baseball, and it always has, and it always will be. And part of that is because of watching those games as a kid, because you didn't get a game every day at that point in time. Playing catch with my dad, collecting baseball cards, it's all kind of interwoven together.
Keeping it in the family for a sec. You're gonna be busy 1 month, May 26th.
Yes, sir.
You getting those extra nights in, extra time with your kids now before you're busy all summer? Trying to.
That's part of what our most recent vacation was all about. So
awesome.
And hey, the first question we asked was why baseball? Think we brought it full circle here to the last question of our segment. That was great. Brodie, this has been fantastic. We're so happy to have you on. Thank you so much. We can't wait to see you at Hanover Insurance Park Fit and Field this summer.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate this. This was a lot of fun for me. This is a long time coming. I was looking forward to this for a long time. I had a blast. This was a pleasure for me to do, and I hope you guys had as much fun as I did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And this has been episode 13 and our season finale of season 4 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League. We have new episodes coming out every Monday. Well, no, we don't anymore, but
in a month
we will in a month.
We'll get her back going soon.
We'll have more information for you about our endeavors in the podcast soon, but be sure to subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Thanks for everybody for tuning in all season long. Opening day, May 26th. We'll see you then.